Alright guys, so we have the details over here for Summer Sanak, and I really hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she actually seems like she's going to be a pretty decent free-to-play servant, and I'm really happy about that, because I know I was really excited for this servant to come out, because we never got the costume, or really just any servant in general for Lost Belt 6 in regards to this servant, not even over here on JP, and so I'm like, are we ever going to get this servant? Are we going to get a costume? And at least through Summer 8, we are actually able to get them for free, so I'm really happy about that. Now, real quick before we actually just start getting into some of these details, a few hours after this video goes live, I'm going to be going live on YouTube to do the FGO Nuzlocke because I feel bad that we've missed out on it for like the last 2-3 weeks because I've been really busy with other things like JP's anniversary, and then yesterday I was hosting a Master Duel tournament, and then now I'm about to go on vacation for like 2 weeks, and I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and do the FGO Nuzlocke like this weekend and next weekend to just make sure we actually get some progress, right? Like I actually want to make some progress and start getting to some of the harder fights, like at least Gawain or something, right? Let's start doing some interesting stuff to see if we can actually survive the entire run. So be looking out for that a few hours after this video goes live. But without further ado, let's start moving into this. As you can see, she is indeed a AoE arts unit. As I'll just kind of scroll down right here, you can actually see her NP. That's pretty good. You know, 4 hits on the count is going to be decent enough. Her NP gain is a little bit low over here at 0.41%, but I'm not too concerned about that because her attack is decent for someone that you're going to have as a free-to-play NP5, and keep in mind Castoria is going to give her like 60% NP gain. She's going to be able to give her 50% on both Castorias, a 50% arts buff. You know, she should be able to loop just fine. Now, I'm hoping that when we actually are able to get her in like a week or so from now, that it's revealed it's like, oh no, she can't actually ARP loop. But I am fairly confident that because you can make the most wacky servants actually loop with Castoria with how good she is, I'm confident that a free-to-play arts AoE servant is going to be able to farm. Like, if Jason can do it, then my girl Sanat can do it over here as well. So she should be fine on that front, right? Kind of like Yugioh, where Yugioh is like a free-to-play looper. I guess now instead of giving us a ruler, they're giving everybody a foreigner, which, you know, I was a little worried about because that wasn't the best track record, because MHX Alter was not exactly very good when she dropped for Grail Live. I mean, the unit was very cute, but didn't exactly wow anybody with their kit. But Sanak over here actually does have some pretty decent skills. So first and foremost, we have her skill 1 over here. As you can see, she's going to give herself debuff immunity. She's going to give herself a little bit of HP recovery. She's going to give herself that 20% battery, which is also why I'm very confident that she should be able to farm, because even with the low NP gain, someone like Zenobia can also farm with something similar to this on her own kit. And so if she can do it, I'm sure that a free-to-play NP5 can get it done. And then she also just gives everybody a 30% battery with this My Fair Soldier status, which you get on the second skill. I was a little concerned about this because I was like, is this going to be some weird like trait thing that nobody has? But no, she's able to give it to everybody right here on this skill. And then something that's a little bit wacky is that she's able to give everybody 50% attack and then 30% defense except herself for 3 turns. So that's a little bit quirky. She does really want to be used with Castoria though, as we'll see on her 3rd skill, but thankfully she does give herself the NP strength over here. It's just a nice 20% NP damage buff that she gives to herself, which is good because the arts meta is pretty notorious for being able to use Black Grail. And you know who really likes Black Grail? My guy Oberon. So getting even more NP damage is always going to be good. But unfortunately, she does want to be used with Castoria, so the attack won't really be all that useful. But then again, I could see some very funny like DPS Castoria things coming out of this, and you know, I myself am a connoisseur of DPS Castoria, so I haven't given up full hope on this one. But as you can see right here, I'm just going to skip to the last part and why I say she wants to be used with Castoria over here. She seals everybody's like arts cards over here except herself and Castoria. So like, if you're gonna use her with other dudes, don't use her with other art servants, I guess. It's a little bit wacky, and you know, just make sure you're prepared for that if you're playing JP and you're like, oh, sick, I got the new Sanak free-to-play servant. Why did I just seal all of Tamamo's cards? Now, thankfully, it is only for 1 turn, so if you're like 3-turn farming, it really shouldn't matter at all who you're using her with, and especially if you're gonna be like plug suiting in Tamamo or plug suiting in Oberon, it's really not going to affect them at all. But this is very nice because it also gives her a nice little 20% arts buff. It has a little stun built into it over here. That's kind of nice, I suppose, if you want to use her for more like boss clearing and stuff along those lines. And then she also decreases all enemies' defense by 20% for 3 turns. So this is a little wonky. I don't like that this effect and this effect are on the same skill over here because they conflict a little bit. You would like to save the defense down for the last node because that's where the beefy enemies are and you want that extra damage. But if you save it for the last node, then you're losing out on the NP gain that you get over here, and that might mess up some of your 3-turn farming. Now, obviously, if you're going to use it for boss fights, it doesn't matter. Just pop this immediately, stun the enemy, lower their defense, and then start like double buffing yourself over here, right? And start doing a lot of damage. So it shouldn't matter if you're going to use it for that, but does make 3-turn farming a little bit wonky. I would still probably use this initially and just have a really good wave 1 and then just proceed as per usual. It shouldn't matter all that much. Again, she is a free NP5. Things should be fine for her. She does have some interesting passives over here, like this one just being a little baby cast skill. Instead of 100% crit star drop rate, she just passively gives everybody 20%. That's kind of nice. You might be able to gen a couple of extra stars in your arts comps. That's kind of interesting, I suppose. She also does give herself 4 crit stars every turn and 4% NP gauge, which I believe is a bit higher than what most foreigners have. I believe most of them actually have like 2 stars per turn. So, oh my goodness, she's getting extra stars. She's got a little bit of a crit niche going on, except she doesn't have any crit damage, which is a little bit weird. But finally, there's her NP over here, which she just really does love lowering enemies' NP. I really hope that they are mistranslating this one and they're just like, oh, this actually procs first, because if this procs first, this would be really nice. If not, it's going to be a little bit stinky because you really won't get to feel the damage you get from this, except if you're going to be, again, using her against some bosses where you're going to be stacking a lot of defense down. This is nice over here, though, that if you want to bring her to more difficult content, she has the Castoria effect on her own NP where she can actually debuff cleanse all people in the party. That is very nice. For people that have Castoria and use her in boss fights, just being able to debuff cleanse everybody is super, super clutch. And I'm sure a lot of people have felt that in the actual like Nerofest challenge quest where there's like random debuffs all over the place. I'm sure a lot of people have felt how actually impactful that is. But one thing that I actually really like about Maeve is that she heals herself, because I have gone on record saying that I love the double Castoria comp, but the problem is it just feels like inevitably you're gonna die because you don't have any sustain. You have a lot of raw like defense and survivability, but you don't sustain yourself unless you have a servant that can increase your HP, because Castoria does a really good job at keeping people from, getting one tapped, but damage over time and stuff like that can be a little bit of an issue, even with like the debuff cleansing and everything like that. So her being able to at least heal herself by 5k every time she fires her NP, which it's an arts NP, especially with all of Castoria's buffs that she can give from NP gain, raw battery, big arts buffs, should be somewhat spammable. She should be able to actually sustain herself, like removing anything like damage over time, like poison, burn, curse, stuff like that, and then being able to give herself fat globs of HP back. That's really, really strong. I do like how this servant is kind of built, although it does seem like she doesn't really have anything special going on, right? It doesn't seem like there's anything, really just like there's a wow factor about the unit, aside from the fact that we actually get a playable Synnog now. And I think she's kind of coasting a lot on that, but I would have liked to see like, I don't know, like a damage mod or something, or the fact that she's got this like really decent natural star weight. And then she's also got like this passive that gen stars, and she also buffs everybody's crit star gen. It just feels really weird that there's no crit damage anywhere, right? It just feels very off, right? It's like a quick servant not having crit damage. It's like your purpose is genning stars, or at least that's what you're leading me to believe, and then you don't have any way to capitalize on that. Now, I guess maybe if you use her with Lady Avalon, who has a really big crit damage buff on, the big Arts Mana Burst skill, maybe that's what they're kind of thinking about. They're like, oh, you could just use her with Avalon or something like that, but I'm not really sure. Maybe there will be something in the Melusine banner, like maybe there's some crazy new art support, or maybe Melusine herself is going to power creep Castoria. I really hope that is not the case, because Castoria is still, and I will say this on record, as an individual servant for what she's able to do by herself, I still think she's the best servant in the game. And I kind of want to make a discussion video on that at some point, on who the best servant in the game is though, but I hold her in very high regard. If they power creep her, I'm very concerned with the direction the game's going to be going in, because that means we're going to be getting some really nutty broken servants. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Overall, what I think this servant's going to be is just a good looper for people that don't have a decent arts looper yet. It'll be very nice until you can get your hands on, say, a Space Ishtar, a Summer Kama, or a Summer Ibuki. One of these really good top tier loopers she'll be able to put in the work for you for, right? That's the same vibe that I got from EO, and I was feeling pretty right about that, even a bit bit later as I've been playing with her for a while. I'm pretty sure Maeve over, or not Maeve, you see, even I'm making the mistake. Sanhok over here will do the same thing. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for daily FGO content, as I've been daily uploading just to make sure I keep pace, because I think tomorrow on Monday we're about to get the whole back to school campaign, and then Tuesday apparently we got the Melusine banner dropping. So it's just a madhouse over here on FGO right now, but I'm going to be posting every single day. I'm going to make sure that you know everything that's going to be going on. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, late guys.